Yes, welcome to part 2 of my How to Build a CROSSKART series. In this series I'm showing you the easiest way to build a CROSSKART using my plans. In the first part I gave some general information about the build and then made the frame. And this is what I have so far. Now in this part I will make the suspension of this epic machine. So here's my 3D model of the buggy, and as you can see, of course it'll have dual A-arm suspension all around. And depending on your shocks, it should have about 8 inches of travel in the front and rear. So for the front shocks, I recommend to use quad front shocks, like I'm using. Quad shocks should be about the right stiffness, but you can always adjust the stiffness and travel later. Now for the rear suspension, there's a lot more weight to carry, so we need bigger shocks. So what I'll do is use the front forks of the bike we get the engine from. I've done this before and it works great, but a single set of bike shocks is only just strong enough to support a massive weight. So what I'll do with this one is get myself a second set of shocks and put 2 shocks next to each other. This way the suspension is way stronger, which means I can put a lower mounting point closer to the frame for more travel. For more adjustments in ride height and suspension stiffness, there are multiple holes in the top mount too. And to make all these sheet metal parts, I had them laser cut by a local company for only $150. And I suggest you do the same because it will save a lot of time. Now of course you can also make them by hand and print out 1-to-1 templates, which will be included in the plans, as well as the laser cut files. And all these parts have a thickness of 4 mm and will also be used to make, for instance, the rear hubs. So let's get started by making the front A-arms and then do the rear. All tubes are of course assembled in a jig in the same way as I built the main frame. And the notches will all be cut using paper templates. So let's mount the front lower A-arm. Now it needs to be tilted backwards a little bit to get our kingpin angle right. So to make it easier to mount it at the angle, what I'll do is lift the frame up like this, by this amount, and then lay my A-arm on the table and mount it. Let's do it. So that's my bottom A-arm tabs mounted. It's really easy, it can only go on one way, and that is the right way. So next, the top one, and to space them, I need to make a stack of wood blocks of 235 millimeters. And then we will lay on the top one, connect tabs here and here. Okay, so that's it for this video. Got quite a lot done. As you can see, all the suspension is complete. Also in the rear. Took me about 3 or 4 days to build all of this, all the A-arms and the hubs. Now the front turned out really nice. This is where I will mount my wheels to, obviously. Tap some thread into here, so I can mount a bolt in here with a big washer to keep the bearing from sliding off. And yeah, got a lot of adjustability over here and over here, and of course my shock preload itself. So now for the ball joints, these are the cheap Chinesium ball joints here and also in the rear. But these ball joints are better quality ball joints because, as you can imagine, they get most of the load. These are actually milled from a block, whereas these are cast steel, because especially this one has to keep the whole front up because the spring presses on this A-arm. So these bolts, I'll replace them with Allen key bolts, so they're less likely to hit the ball joint like this. And also I'll have to do a little bit of a spacer between here. You can see I already have it in, to give it just a bit more space to turn and to swing up and down. Now in the next episode on here we'll mount the steering arm to have perfect Ackerman steering. And in the next episode we'll also make the drive line, going from here with a CV joint to here. And for the rear shocks I actually used the shock of a bike. This is actually the front shock of the Honda VTR 1000 bike I used for my boat project. And the idea is to mount 2 shocks on here, because one shock, it's possible, but it's best to have 2. So what I'll do is probably mount them in this hole and then 2 next to each other, so we have a bit more leverage, and then it should be fine. And also these shocks are fully adjustable with the pressure and preload and everything, so it should be good. So yeah, that's it for this video. I think it looks very good. Suspension works nice. It's still not that heavy. I guess about 100 kilograms. So looking good. Next episode we'll make the spindles and the driveline and get this thing rolling. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.